Hello, this will be part 3 of fixing up my Pump It Up SX machine. I want to mostly focus on the cabinet because there's a bunch of stuff that needs to be done here. I did a bunch of work on the pads last time, but there's one last thing I really need to do here before I move on, and that is to fix this problem right here where these holes are not threaded. So this is a little more of a problem than I thought at first. I looked at it. For some reason I thought I would be able to get to the other side of this without too much trouble, but I can't. Because this right here is a solid piece that you can see is welded into place right there. So unless I wanted to undo those welds somehow and take this frame all the way apart, I can't actually access the other side of this other than through this tiny little hole here where the wires come through. Let me see if I can get my flashlight in here. It's a little hard to see. It's very hard to see. But yeah, so that's the space that I have to work in. You can see there's kind of a weird little cutout. Well, maybe you can see that, and you can't see it very well. But what it looks like is there's sort of a metal piece going along here. It makes a cutout right along there and goes up a little bit around those. And then there's not much space down in the bottom here. And I have just this little hole to shove something through there to fix this problem. So I don't know of a way that I could put back in the original threads. I don't know exactly what they were anchored to. I have them here somewhere. I don't know where I put them. I'm not going to use those though. So I thought about what to do here. I came up with one possible solution. So I made these. These are nuts. M8 nuts embedded in pieces of 1/2-inch plywood cut to a fairly small little size. So I tried to get footage of making these, but it ended up being just way too blundery and fiddly, and I made lots of mistakes and took a long time to get these together. But yeah, so you just see the finished product here. I couldn't make this all just one piece, which would be ideal, to put like one big piece of wood behind this to cover all the 4 holes, because one piece of wood this tall couldn't fit through this hole. So I need these 2 separate little pieces. The idea is I'm going to wrangle these in here and get them to just the right place so that, okay, that's actually the wrong piece. I need the shorter one on the bottom to go down there. But this one would go up here like this. Yeah, something like that. You can see the threads in there. So those will act as the threads on the other side of the hole. And I gotta fish this out of here somehow. 2 fingers working on it. Right, and then this one will go on the bottom. So, right, so what I did to make these was I just cut these pieces out of 1/2-inch plywood, 1/2-inch so that it fits in the little gap that's right here. That's just large enough for this. Drilled holes all the way through them in a size slightly smaller than the nuts, hammered the nuts in with some wood glue around them, and then sort of added a bunch more wood glue like on both sides. Wood glue is obviously not the right thing to be binding metal to wood, but there isn't really anything particularly great for that I know about. I'm not an expert in adhesives. I'd like to know more about them at some point, but basically the idea is the wood glue just sort of adds filler, you know, acts as something that's around these things to try to kind of hold them in place by just having material to keep them from moving, rather than to directly adhere them to the wood. Anyway, so that's the idea with these. Now, I need to also attach them to the other side of this surface somehow. I could. Probably the best way to do that would be to drill some new holes like here and here, countersink some screws and put them through holes like here and here in these to hold them in place. I don't really want to drill new holes here. I'd really prefer to not do that. So what I'm going to try to do is use some kind of glue. I'll try this super glue and see how it goes. So just put some on here. I guess quickly get those into place here, align them, and then put in the screws to hold them so that it sets. Although this stuff sets pretty quickly. This is going to be tricky. I don't know if it'll actually work at all. If the super glue doesn't hold, well, okay, so let's talk about the forces that'll be applied to this. My hope is that with the screws tightened all the way down, with the bracket on here, it'll be holding the nuts against the metal frame, and the friction between those two things will be what takes all of the the force, so the wood won't actually be important at that point. Because, like, theoretically, I could just put the nuts in there. If I could tighten them through this hole against the frame here, then that'd be good enough. I wouldn't need any extra structure like this. What the wood is for is just to keep them in place when the bolts are not in here, and keep them in place well enough so that while I tighten them, they'll stay in place. So I'm hoping that just some glue against this surface can keep them held in place well enough for that. Doesn't have to be that strong when it's screwed in, but it needs to be strong enough to just stay when it's not attached. So I'm going to try and get these in there, glued to that surface, and see if that's possible at all, and if it'll hold in place. Alright, here we go. This is about the best camera angle I can get. There's only so much I can show here, so I'm not sure how much glue to use, so I'll just kind of use a bunch. Let's see, I'll just maybe put it in the middle. I don't know. Just kind of guessing at this. So let's see, I'll put a little bit here and a little bit here. Let's see what that does. So let me get in there quickly and get it aligned, I hope. Okay, so I don't want that touching that just yet. So if I can maybe... I can see the glue dripping now. Okay. Yeah, this will be ideal. If I can get the two screws in without it actually touching this surface, then I can use those to anchor it where it needs to go. I can see the threads in there. I can just get this in. Sure does smell like super glue. I hope I didn't get any in the nuts themselves. I don't think I did. Okay, go in. Okay. Okay. This might just work. If I screw this down... Alright, that's reasonably tightened. Now there's a little bit of play here. Where exactly would I want that? Like in the center, I guess. I'll just sort of... Okay. Let's get that a little... Oh no, let me leave it at the tightness it's at. Okay. Where's my flashlight? So that's in there, you can kind of see. This camera's on a little tripod now, but yeah, that's... Okay. Okay. So that's one. That actually went better than I expected. Now the other one, let me figure out the orientation of this. Do I want it this way? I hope I haven't made a mistake by putting the wrong one in first. That has made this a little tricky. So that's going to have to... Okay. Alright, so what's going to happen here? Oh boy. Yeah, it would have been better to put the top one in first, because now I have like this space all filled up. So I have to slide this in sort of like this, and then slot it in there, then slide it up to that location. It's possible, but then the problem is, like, this surface is going to be against this, smearing the glue into place. So I'll just have to do this really quick. Be ready with these. I hope this... I could also trim this down a little more, possibly. I don't think I will. Let me see if I can just do it like this. So glue, a little bit here, a little bit there, not too close to the nuts so it doesn't get in the threads. Sure. Just got that all over my skin. That's unfortunate, but I'll just have to deal with it. Ooh, this is hard to do. Yeah, okay, that one's not going the way it needs to go. I'm sure there's still some glue on there. Okay. Okay, that's one. If I can just get that in, then rotate. Yes. 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 Uh-oh. Just forget the washer. Get that in. Somehow. Is it going? It's going. Okay. That's Alright, so that's being stubborn about screwing in there. I think I might have gotten some glue in the threads, possibly, and that's unfortunate. So let me just... I'll screw this one all the way down. That one moved freely. Where is my Allen wrench for those? So that Allen wrench seems to have disappeared. I need to use one of my backups. Okay, see that's spinning okay. I think it's fine. Alright, I just want this tight. Tight enough. Okay, that moved. You be tight. Okay. You be tight. Okay. So that's a possible success. The question is, will it hold? Get this off of the thing. How does this come off of the thing? Alright. So that's what I've done. Okay. Well, I'll let that glue set a little bit. I might have just been covering up the microphone, so if that sounded funny, that was why. Alright. I mean, those are screwed onto something. So if this holds, then maybe that's fixed the problem. Let's hope. Alright, so the threads came out just a little bit wonky in there, but I think as long as all these screws go in, I should be good. This one's perhaps the most questionable. It's kind of awfully low. I'm like, sure, I can certainly get this screw in, but the question is, will all the others go while that one's in? That one's a lot higher. Okay, feels promising. There we go. Excellent. All right, those all go in. So now it just remains to be seen how durable that is. I'll put this together and play on it for a while and see if this has broken off when next time I take it off. But yeah, at least those are threaded into something, so they'll hold together for a session at least. Just wonder if they'll hold... Okay, so how much do I tighten this now, I wonder? Gonna be thinking about it now. Should be able to tighten it reasonably far because, again, the nuts are right at the surface of the wood. So I shouldn't be, like, pulling them out of the wood if I over-tighten this. They should just be sort of squished against the metal frame here. I don't know, I feel like I don't want to go super tight with this. Let's go kind of tight. I heard some noises. Slightly concerning. Like wood creaking around a little bit when I tightened that one. Okay. Well, I mean, that's about as tight as I would normally make those. Alright, I think we're good. Awesome. Alright, so with that connected, next thing I want to do is fix up this pad connector tube that's all crushed and messed up. So I've unplugged it from both ends. This has... oh boy. There's my third hand. This has a little collar in it that can unscrew and disconnect this part from the box. If you really want to thread wires through this thing, and this thing, and this thing, and this thing. So if I wanted to rethread these wires in something else, like say this, I believe it's called a pool hose that I got from Lowe's. This is slightly too long. I'd have to trim it down a little bit to match the length of these wires, I think. I'd unthread the wires from here, just probably cut this off because it's all messed up, and somehow get them through here. That sounds like a nightmare. Not sure I really want to do that right now. This is the pad connector tube for my GX cabinet. I bought this as a replacement because it had the exact same problem as this. It's not connected right now, so I might as well just use it right now until my second replacement arrives, because I ordered another one of these to replace this. I won't get that colorful warning thing on the top of those boxes for now. But that's fine. So yeah, this just connects up like that. Red hooks to red, blue hooks to blue, etc. on both ends. And then once that's done, oh boy. And I'm doing this the right way around, there we go. Those don't always go together all the way, that's close enough. Anyway, so connect up all those on both ends. And those screw in with these screws. So these are the ones that came with the machine. They thread into these holes, and similarly these holes here. Unfortunately, I only got 7 of them, and I need 8 to be a full set. So I got these replacements from Lowe's. They're almost the same. They're the same length and threading, but the heads and the metal shininess is a little bit different. So if I'm going to replace one, it probably makes sense to replace 4 on one end or another, either on the pad or on the cabinet, because otherwise they're just going to look mismatched like that. Yeah, so probably use 4 of these here and then 4 of those here. And that should look okay. So let's start in on work on the cabinet itself. I've been wanting to do this for a while. Got it open back here where there's all the dust in the world. It's kind of ridiculous. This would have been a little easier to do if I hadn't already connected up the pad tube, because that's in a kind of weird, awkward angle. But I think this is plenty of space to work. So yeah, just kind of going to do a before shot here so you can see how dusty these things are. Then I'll vacuum them off, and it should be all nice and clean. I'll try taking off these fan covers, because yeah, I can see this fan's pretty dusty. Yeah, that's quite dusty. Except service personnel, please never open the product as there is risk of electric shock. Well, I guess I'm service personnel. So from what I understand, the part of this that I don't want to touch, just set this over here. The part of this I don't want to touch is that right there, that thing connected to the CRT. Apparently there's a big capacitor that can give you pretty severe shock if you touch that the wrong way. So I'll just try to avoid that. This is not nearly as dusty as the bottom part down here. Normally there are wires coming through this. I feel like that's where the wires are supposed to come through to go through here into the USB box. But they have them going down through this, which is up there. Yeah, okay, that's the hole. I mean, there's not much I can do about that. I can't really uncut this hole. I could try to put a plug in it. But I guess I'll probably just leave it like this. I'll have to see about the possibility of mounting the Prime 2 card readers, because if I want this to be a Prime 2 machine, which I'm going to put the banner in there, so I guess it might be. That was the plan. I have my card readers over here. These come with a bunch of brackets. They're inside that box somewhere for mounting them. I'll think about it. I'll look at the plan. I kind of like to just plug them in. I actually plug them in up front here. That might be part of the reason that they get confused about which port they're plugged into, but maybe not. I don't know. Oh, funny note about this. I'd like to take this apart and take a look inside it and measure some voltage, because I had to make a modification to this one. I'm not going to take it apart right now to show, but the way these work is there's some USB extension cables, the ones you see running in there, and then there's this other little thing with a blue and black wire. So those other wires are somehow soldered onto the JAMA PCB, which you can't see too well, but it's this thing right here. I think that brown wire there, or no, one of these black wires. Yeah, here's the 2 wires that run up there. So black goes on 1, blue goes on 7, I think. If I dust it off, you can actually see the pads. The thing is, so those go to a transistor that, unless it gets voltage, has these, one of the USB wire disabled, which just disables the whole thing, so that these extension cables don't just go directly to these 2 ports. I measured, this thing never worked, and I measured the voltage coming off of the blue and black cables, and I was only getting 0.7 volts, which surely was not enough to toggle the transistor. So I just put a couple of wire jumpers in here and bypassed the transistors entirely, so that the blue and black cables aren't doing anything, and these are just always live for this one. I doubt the same modification has been made to this, so I wonder... I don't know. I wonder how this works, and if I'd swap the circuit board with this one, if that would work. Because it feels like that's either a problem with the soldering on the JAMA board, which I double and triple checked. It seemed to be in the right place on the GX cabinet, or like a problem with the computer inside. So I don't know what's up with that. Anyway, talking about stuff I'm not going to deal with. So I'm just going to vacuum this out and get it nice and clean. Alright, that's a big improvement. This part wasn't too dusty before, but I got it cleaned out just a little bit. This right here, these things, these are the, boy, you can't see them too well here, but this is a knob, this is a knob, and this is a knob. Those three things can be used to adjust, I think, brightness and focus of the CRT. I might play with them a little bit just to see if I can get it to be any nicer. But it's pretty good as it is. Yeah, so that wasn't too dusty. Most of the dust was down here, so this is much more clean now. I unplugged most of the cables so I could pull this out a little more. It was just catching right here. This is why I couldn't pull it out in the first video. I don't want to go too far and risk breaking some of the solders on the JAMA board you can see here, because things are just soldered directly onto that. I mean, the whole thing unplugs, but I just don't want to bother to do that because it's kind of a pain. So I was very gentle with vacuuming the inside of this computer. Didn't want to suck up any components. I have Prime 2 in there right now. The security key is not actually mounted in there like I'm used to it being with my other machine. I could probably just stick this in here and put a little zip tie through there. Yeah, I should do that just to make this the way it normally is. So I'm going to swap this out for infinity. Just unplug that, take out those screws that are already taken out apparently, pull this out, and take out that screw and that screw, swap hard drives, put everything back together, and then swap. Right, so I have the Thailand version of Prime 2 for whatever reason. Anyway, yeah, just swap this for the Prime 2, not Prime 2, the Infinity security key. So I'm going to do that. So let's talk about VGA splitters. So when I live stream with this, I have, let's see, let's get all these cables back into place. So USB just goes to the box in the front. Doesn't really especially matter what order I do these. I can change it in the operator menu. Power can go in there. This thing down here, this box appears to be for lights and speakers. I've never really messed with it at all. Oh, it's still dusty on top. Oh well, whatever. Couldn't really get the vacuum cleaner in there. Somewhere back here, or back here, that I can't reach, I dropped a screw, the one that holds on the top cover of the computer. I don't really want, yeah, right here. I don't really want that in because I take that off reasonably frequently to swap hard drives. But somewhere inside this is a screw now, and I can't really get it back. Anyway, yeah, so I have an audio splitter plugged into the green jack here. Oh, a lot of people have a problem with this, apparently. I've seen it come up surprisingly often. If this is not fully seated, like it's only in that far, you'll actually get mono audio output because, like, these two will be bridged, basically, because it's making contact with both sides of that, and you gotta make sure this is fully seated. Certain songs like Vacuum Cleaner, Goodnight, and Cleaner, I guess, are the only ones that really come to mind. There's a bunch of songs that sound funny because they have like inverted waveforms, and mono audio output changes the way they sound significantly. So yeah, just make sure this cable's fully seated. And same for anything else if you're using a splitter like this one. Cables like this one, this is the actual. I cannot undo that one-handed apparently. Okay, so make sure those are all fully plugged in. Anyway, yeah, so I just plug another cable into this and just thread that through this hole that's, you know, like right here. I also stick the Ethernet cable in there for Prime 2 because it needs to be online. And you're right, so VGA splitters. This graphics card has this weird little circuit board here. I think all this is just a right angle. Like, I don't think this circuit board does anything other than just bridge like this to that. Can't imagine what else it would do. I keep having a problem on this cabinet, though, where I'll have everything plugged in properly, but the display will tell me no signal. So I don't know exactly what's up with that. I'll have to figure out, like, if these just are not firmly plugged in. Anyway, yeah, so the VGA splitter I'm using for this is just a simple two-cable sort of thing. I tried using this on my GX cabinet, and the problem that I ran into there was that, I'm just going to screw these in all the way and make sure this is plugged firmly so it doesn't tell me no signal, hopefully. The problem I ran into there was that splitting VGA this way causes the signal to both the cabinet monitor and the capture card to be dimmed a little bit, because it's just like splitting the power between two different sources. So over here, I have a powered VGA splitter. This thing, you know, works the same. Has a USB cable, that's how it gets power, so I can just plug that into one of the spare USB ports here. And has a port here and another one there. And with the powered split, it doesn't have the dimming problem. But I learned that the problem with, let's see, this is a StarTech ST122LE apparently. Problem with this, it's not latency. I didn't notice any latency from it, but what it does is it kind of distorts the image just a little bit. Like on the very right side of it, it was kind of squished, I noticed, and didn't quite fit in the frame as well. So I'm just taking the brightness hit and doing it with this splitter. So for now, that actually works better for me. Anyway, yeah, I haven't noticed the same problem with the audio splitter. I just plug the cable that goes here into the red audio jack on the back of my PC and capture audio that way. Still a little dusty in there. Not too big a deal. Anyway, yeah, so that's reasonably cleaned out. I'm hoping that just by, like, firmly screwing these in, I'm wondering if I have a loose connection, like, somewhere downstream from here. Because, like, this was never a problem on my... Let's see, where does that go exactly? This was never a problem in my other cabinet. So that goes up there, into that hole, I guess. So it's probably this cable here. I mean, I can try wiggling it. Hope I don't touch any of the high voltage parts of this. You know, I don't want to mess with that. I'm not totally sure that this is the only thing I want to avoid touching. I don't really feel like messing with that right now, so I'm just kind of going to hope that this behaves itself. Alright, so I'm going to swap this hard drive for Infinity, put this back together, and then we'll work on the marquee a little bit, because that needs some attention. Alright, I spent a little more time with the vacuum cleaner and some compressed air to get this cleaner, so it's pretty shiny now. Not perfect, but good enough for me. So I took these fans out to clean them out just a little bit, Didn't mess with them too much, they weren't as dusty as I thought. I replaced the black screws around here with shiny silver ones, because I actually need those black screws for something else. I have some missing ones in another part of this, and they're on the front, so it's best that they match the colors. So I want to take off the marquee. This did not actually come with the screws that go in here. Those are M6 1.0 threads, and I have plenty of those around, so I'm sure I can find some suitable screws for those when I put this back on. But these especially need some adjustment. There's a missing piece, or there was a missing piece, right here I talked about. So that's what the screws are for. Those screws are to match the ones that would go here. So those will actually be black, because I didn't want silver ones just mismatching on that side, compared to the black ones on this side. And I couldn't get black ones at Lowe's. So I actually have a replacement piece here. So I took off the thing that goes here on my GX cabinet. It would fit there just fine. If I got it in the right spot, there we go. You can see when it's in the right spot and I see the alignment, but there's not enough light to see that really, but that's aligned with the screw hole there. So what I did was I just took this piece to a machine shop and said, hey, can you make a copy of this? And they looked at it for a moment and said, okay, sure. They called me back in a couple of days and gave me this thing. They even painted it for me. So this is very close. The one notable difference between the two is that this angle is much sharper on the original. It was bent over a little more lazily or gently or something on the copy. But this should do the job. All the holes are in the right place. It looks like it fits. I can see that goes where the screw hole needs to be. So yeah, I think that'll be a suitable replacement. But I need to take this marquee down because those need to come off, and I need to do some other stuff to it. So, just put this back for now. So to get this off, I need to go in here and disconnect these 3 cables. I've done this before. Ooh, not one-handed. Anyway, I gotta disconnect those, tuck the ends up, that hole there, which runs through this post, and then that whole thing lifts off with those 3 cable ends inside, and I can work on it that way. So that's what I'm going to do. Alright, cables are tucked up in here, marquee's coming off. This is always extremely dicey, so let's see if I drop it and smash everything. Hopefully not. This thing is heavy, and it wants to tilt forward. Maybe I shouldn't be up on a step stool for this. It's hard to reach otherwise, though. I'm going to try it from the ground. Even though I've done this several times, I still don't really have a good process for it. Okay, so from here, I need to lift up and forward. Up and forward. Okay, that was not too bad. Got it. Gently. Gently. Okay, I didn't break anything. Alright, got that down on the ground, got the pieces around the edges taken off. So that goes there. That's just sandwiched between 2 sheets of plexiglass. It's not too dirty in here. It has a funny smell. Alright, so here are the wires that I tucked through that hole. Here are the connections for the... these look very similar to the connectors used for the sensors. Connections for the lights. So those are held on by, looks like just 2 screws each. One here and one in the opposite corner. A little hard to get in here and take a look at it. So this one's all bent. So I'm going to have to take this off, get this apart, get the bracket off. Oh yeah, and it's very loose there too. That's all fixable. What I did for these, since I didn't like them shining in my face so much, I actually cut little circles of paper and put them inside here to diffuse the lights a little bit. Because yeah, they're fairly bright and kind of annoying in my face when I'm playing. So I might do that for these. But anyway, I'll unplug them, get the screws off, and take one of those apart to see what's inside it, and fix up the metal on the bracket. Alright, so here's how these things come apart. There's 2 screws in there to take off the bracket. You can unthread the wire through there. 2 screws here and here to take off this bit. Each of these has like a little piece of plastic behind it. So this one's clear. The 2 in the middle are sort of yellowy. You can see it a little bit in there. Yeah, so that's how they get the different colors. And then in the back, those 4 screws come off to get this plate with the light on it. So these things are not terribly dirty, but I'm going to take them all the way apart and clean them. And then one of the main things I need to do is bend this back into place. I think last time I did this, I just sort of did it with a couple of blocks of wood and a hammer. Just got it to about as flat as I could get it. That'll weaken the metal, of course, but I don't know what else to do to get it to how it needs to be. Seemed to work okay, so I'm going to do that. Oh, right, so the paper thing. So what I did was I just took this, laid it on a piece of paper, and just cut around it with an X-Acto knife to get a circle of paper, and then just put it in between this piece and this piece. So yeah, that let me diffuse those lights just a little bit. I think I might actually not do it with these, I'll just leave them bright. But yeah, I'm going to clean all those, rebend these, and then put them back together. Alright, got those all apart and cleaned. One of the brackets was perfect. One is kind of severely bent. One is moderately bent. A little hard to see how that is, but yeah, it's slightly wonky here. And one's just barely a little bit bent. You know, I don't think I want to mess with this one. I'll just leave that out. I'll work on the worst one first. So I'm just kind of gonna, let's see, how will I do this? I'm gonna hold it against the side of that and just like do some of this maybe? And that's helping, okay. Let's do more of that. A little hard to, I don't quite have enough fingers for this. Ow. Alright, so the problem here is that I'm trying to just bend it down to this. I need a steeper angle. This needs to bend the opposite direction, so this will work fine, I think. And let's see. Could probably just like, maybe I could do some of this. I'm using this block of wood here to kind of protect from the hammer so it doesn't leave marks on this. I don't know if this will work at all. It's unlikely. Yeah, it did. Okay, a little more. Alright, that's getting there, but it's not all the way there yet, so I need this to come down. Alright, I'm just going to try and be gentle here. Okay. Okay. That's pretty good. Okay, so that horribly bent up one is pretty much perfectly straight now. I think it might still be a little bit up on this side and down on this side, so let's work on that just a little more. Gentle taps. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. Alright, gonna get this other one fixed up, then put these back together. Okay, that's looking better. Got that all put back together and remounted. So, yeah, these should be nice and solid now. This one still has just a tiny bit of wobble in it, but that doesn't bother me too much. Got the new angle iron on here. Works pretty well. Alright, so one of the things that's been bothering me for a while, yeah, you can see it here. There's this blemish in the monitor. I think it's on the opposite side of this protective plexiglass here. That's been driving me nuts. Oh, I want to get the sticker off too, because for one thing it's not NX2, and for another thing I just don't like having stickers on the front of this. These screws, there's a little bit of blue stuff. I think it's like the protective plastic that was over this when it was shipped, and these were just never taken off for the rest of it to be peeled all the way off. This one over here is actually loose already. Yeah, so I'm going to take these things off and get this thing out, clean the back of it, and sort of see what this looks like with the plexiglass off of it. Also need to start up the machine and make sure it doesn't complain about not having any display signal. Because I messed around back there for a while. I mean, everything seems like it should have been plugged in okay. So I'll see how that is. Alright, I'm going to take these off and clean the back of this. Alright, got the top, left, right, and bottom pieces off. While I was at it, I rebent this just a little bit because there was a spot right over here somewhere where this was bent, kind of like the brackets for the what do you call them? Marquee lights. Alright, so this should just sort of lift off of here. Behind it is that. Okay, so that's what the display looks like without the thing in front of it. Alright, so I'll clean that off in a minute. That's the thing that was bothering me. Oh man, this is that's dusty. Yeah. Let's get some of the dust off of here. Okay, and let's just see what this looks like if I operate it without that thing on it. And I want to make sure, one, that it boots up Infinity, and two, that it doesn't give me the... Gotta kind of lie down here, reach behind to get the power switch. There we go. Make sure it actually gets a signal on that thing. No signal detected. Check signal cable. Yeah, see, this is what it does. It's plugged in. I know it's plugged in. Even over here, I need to figure out what's up with that. Like, why would it do such a thing? Alright, what are the odds I can do this one-handed? Not too bad. So, yeah, got the cables just going in like that. Which does make it a little bit more of a pain to get this door off, but we'll just deal with it. I don't know why I put the screw in so far, so I knew I'd want to be opening this again. So like, this is all plugged in the way that it should be. Oh, this is a DVI to VGA converter, by the way. I mean, that's as plugged in as it should need to get. But then it gives me that. Why? I don't understand. If I turn it off, I don't know, wiggle this around a little bit. Just hope that it's being reasonable. I can pull that out, push it back in, turn it back on. And now it works. I don't understand. BIOS auto recovering. I wonder what that means. Never seen that before. So yeah, I stuck the Infinity hard drive in it, and now it does that. What? Why? I don't understand this. Like, it was fine, but now it's not. Huh? Also, there's something weird going on here. This is the top of the display. That's totally black. That's down to the bottom. That's well, this is infuriating. Well, now it's fine. I did very little other than turn it off and turn it back on again. I'm going to have to figure out what's going on with that. I mean, I wiggled some cables around, but I'm really feeling like it has nothing to do at this point with the display cable. Let's bump it up Infinity. Alright, Infinity is... Whoa, that went black. Why have you gone black? It rebooted! Why did it reboot? Also, so it wasn't the thing that's on the display making it not go all the way to the edges. I mean, this is actually... the display itself is... the picture it's showing is a little too big, and it's definitely rotated this way a little bit. So I'm going to have to try fiddling with those knobs back there. Okay, so what are you saying here? Changing resolution, puppet of infinity, loading. Goes black. Alright, something's wrong with this computer. I wonder what it is. Well, guess I'm gonna have to tinker around in there and figure that out. Okay, after an excruciating hour and a half or so, I finally got this all working. I kind of figured out the issue, maybe? So, let's see. What did this process involve? Alright, so I had Infinity in there. It was stopping on the loading screen after like 2 seconds and just rebooting in a loop. You be quiet, please. I want to play you, but I want to talk about stuff first. Yeah, I haven't been able to play Infinity for a while. This will be the first time I've booted it up in over a week. I've been missing it a lot. So, right, so Infinity refused to boot up and just stuck on the loading screen. I didn't know what was going on, so the first thing I tried was I put Prime 2 back in. When I did that... let's see, I think I tried two things at once. I tried putting Prime 2 back in, I fiddled with some cables and stuff, and I got the no signal message that you were seeing before with the display. So I had a few theories at this point. I thought the RAM might not have been fully seated, so I reseated it and saw no change. Took out the RAM, swapped it with the RAM from my GX machine, got this all open and been moving components back and forth between here and here, and saw no change. So then I thought, okay, maybe it has to do with the video card. So I took the video card out of there, put it in there, and saw no change. So I was frustrated and pretty much at a loss. I checked the cables going to the... oh, I closed this up already. Cable going up to the top of it. It looked kind of frayed at one point. Like, it's kind of weird. I would show you if I had it open, but I don't. But it's fine, and I checked the way it looked in this thing, and it was the same, so I guess it's supposed to look the way it does. Anyway, so finally, I get a flashlight in there and just sort of inspect everything closely, hoping I can just visually see what's going wrong. And I was right. Apparently, the RAM was not fully seated, and when I put it back in, I did not fully seat it. And, okay, so that was one problem. That got Prime 2 to boot up. Then I swapped back over to Infinity, and finally I think I figured out that I had not fully seated the security key in the USB ports. So that would totally make sense. Like, it starts booting up, then it just says, oh, nope, can't decrypt that, verification failed, and just shuts down. So, very important to make sure connections are all the way in, and with some, it's not always extremely obvious. So thank goodness, I can finally play Infinity again. I've been missing this for a while. Alright, I'm tired. It's 1 AM. I expected to be done with this much earlier than I actually was. Looks like this machine runs Infinity just fine. I don't have the USB drive in, so it doesn't know what to do. Okay, yeah, so this is mostly cleaned up. Yeah, you can see just how shiny those are. Yeah, I think I will put the paper diffusers in there at some point. Not now. Alright, so am I done with this machine? Yeah, basically. I think I'm pretty satisfied with this. I'll sit on this footage for a moment, see if there's anything else I want to do with it. But if not, then yeah, that's my machine. Sorry I'm in a bad mood now, just because of all that annoying troubleshooting, but hey, I can play Infinity, so I can be in a better mood. Oh, I was going to twiddle with the knobs to see if I could get this problem to improve at all. Last time I did that in here, the knobs look the same. All it did was like horizontal focus, vertical focus, and brightness. So none of those things will affect the framing, so I'll bet I can't actually fix that problem. Boy. Alright, yeah, I'm annoyed and exhausted, so I'm going to stop here. If I think of anything else I want to do, I'll tack it on to the end of this, but otherwise, that'll be the end of cleaning this machine up. Looks like it's in good shape now. Okay, I thought of some other stuff I wanted to do. It's another day, I'm a lot less grumpy now, everything's working fine, I played around at Infinity and had a super great time on it. So I was reviewing my video footage, and I noticed that I had talked about this sticker, the NX2 input code sticker thing, and then totally forgot to do anything about it. So this probably isn't going to peel off real nice with just fingernails. No, of course not, it'll just do that. Ugh. So the GX cabinet I have here had a similar sticker on it for NXA, that was right in the center. I made the mistake of taking it off with a tool that was a little too harsh for the situation. This is a razor scraper sort of thing, so I just kind of got in here and used it to get the sticker off. That was not a good idea, because I found out afterward that I had actually kind of gouged out the plexiglass a little bit, so you can kind of see the marks that I made on there if I shine a light on it. So those never entirely came out. Now, I thought that wouldn't be too much of a problem, because I had some scratches in this anyway, and I was going to... What I did for that, I used increasingly fine sandpaper, 320, 600, 1200, all the way up to 2000. I didn't know they made sandpaper, that's fine, it's quite fine. So yeah, I looked up a bunch of stuff online for how to remove scratches from plexiglass. So I did increasing grit sandpaper, sanded it down, and then used this stuff, New Finish Scratch Doctor, that was the one that I chose. There are a bunch of different products for doing this. They all seem about the same, honestly, but just some sort of polishing compound kind of thing. So I did that across the entire plexiglass panel, including this place, because I had like a big scratch here and, you know, another one over here somewhere. So I thought, okay, well, I'll just smooth out the whole thing all at once. Problem is, it came out kind of cloudy a little bit. You can see it's really hard to show exactly, but you can kind of see like those circular scratch patterns in there. And when I play on this, it's yeah, cloudy is about the best description I can give for it. So compared to this one, like those scratches are present a little bit, but it doesn't have the cloudiness that I accidentally gave this by using the sandpaper on it. Because yeah, even with the polishing compound and everything, it never got completely smooth again. I can probably work at it some more and get it better, but I'm regretting what I did there. I'd rather just deal with like the one noticeable scratch here. And even that scratch didn't come out all the way, so like, I sanded it too much and not enough at the same time. I could replace this entire panel, but what I don't like about that is I would lose this artwork around the outside. I could make my own and substitute it in, but it wouldn't be original, you know? I'd rather fix the original part. So anyway, all that to say that I don't want to use that razor tool on this sticker, so I'm just going to have to peel at it with fingernails for a while, maybe some plastic tools, just something gentle. And then I use vegetable oil on the plexiglass to get the sticker residue off. That always seems to work pretty well. Then of course you got to clean off the vegetable oil with something. Anyway, so it's going to be a long process getting that off. I'll just do that on my own. But that's how I take stickers off, stuff like this. So the other thing, I did decide that I wanted to diffuse the lights up here because they're just a little too annoying shining in my face. I used printer paper for these. I'm going to try tissue paper for this. It's a little bit thinner and should block out less of the light because I just want to diffuse the light. I don't want to block it out entirely. So let's just see. So I got pulled the, this isn't a lens, this is just a piece of plastic. This is actually a little bit pink, I noticed. I called this clear and yellow, but this is pink, the other ones up there are actually greenish. So I said the wrong colors. Anyway, so let's just see. Should be a simple process of just kind of cutting out a circle here, right? Okay, tissue paper, fragile stuff. This might be harder than with the printer paper. I don't know how centered that is on the camera. Should be able to see it at least. See, I'd like to be at the edge because that's convenient, but if it's going to just tear like that... Huh. Okay, I didn't anticipate this. Looks like I might have to go back to printer paper. Yeah, because that's too fragile. The X-Acto knife doesn't take... Okay, so maybe, like if I had a smooth cutting surface, I don't want to cut into this tray table though. I'm trying to do it on a cutting board here. What did I use last time? I must have used something else. Okay, let me see if I can find a better surface for that. Alright, I tried some other surfaces. Nothing really seemed to work. I think the problem is just the tissue paper itself. So let's just go with printer paper, because I know it works. Should be able to just cut out a circle like this, using this as a template. How's that? Did that not cut? What's going on here? Whoa, shoot, well, I just scratched that. Okay, so be careful not to do that. This is a tool that has to be used with some care. Yeah, it'll definitely want to dig into the template there. This is going terribly. Why is this going so poorly? Alright, well, I'm just going to have to deal with a scratch there. I mean, I won't notice it because paper will be in front of this now, but it is a shame that I just did that. Okay, so I was trying cardboard with the tissue paper. Let's see if that works any better with this, because this cutting board just has a little too much texture to it, I think. I wonder what I used last time, because I know I did this before. Maybe I just did it on wood? If only I could remember. Alright, let's try this again. Because with the cardboard I can just cut right through the paper and into the cardboard. And making that transition's a little hard. And it's left-handed now. Okay, I think I'm getting somewhere. Maybe. Alright, is that a paper circle? Yeah, roughly. It's not great, but I could clean up the edges a little bit. Anyway, so the idea with this is it just goes in here. Heck, I don't even need to clean up the edges. Then this goes behind it. This still applies its color, but yeah, from this side you just see the paper. Okay, so that's perfectly fine. I don't need the edges 100% clean. And yeah, that'll just get held in place because this is sandwiched in the thing where it goes in the light structure. Okay, so that'll work. Okay, now I got that all done. So a whole lot of work with fingernails, and a little bit of vegetable oil to clean up the residue, then some soap to clean up the vegetable oil, and you'd never know there was a sticker here. Now I can read! It says pump up your energy! I would never have known that before. So I put two of the papers into, I put papers into this light and this light, so you can see how those illuminate like that, and then just compare with these. Got them all cut out, so I'll just stick the other two in there. Yeah, I like it. Like, you can still see it lighting, but it doesn't just blind me in my face when I'm standing on the pads. So yeah, that's definitely nicer. And it's not showing up on the camera super well, but the color still comes through. That's just the tiniest bit pinkish, that's kind of yellow-green. By the way, Prime 2 comes with this sticker. There is no way I would ever put this on here because, I don't know, I think stickers are kind of tacky. I don't like them. I would have to peel it off eventually when I got a new version of this. Anyway. Alright, so I think I'm actually totally done with this. The one other thing I did think about doing was pulling off these plates and cleaning up the dust in here. It's not extremely dusty. These were a lot worse, so I cleaned those all out. Makes those lights come through just slightly brighter because the dust does accumulate up on top of the tube there. You can see it. But yeah, these are actually pretty clean. I'll do that eventually, but it's not a big deal. Anyway, yeah, so sticker off, lights diffused, and what was the third thing I was doing here? I don't know, I did something else. Yeah, anyway, so cool. This thing is pretty much done. Runs Infinity, gonna put Prime 2 back in it when I want to play that game version. And yeah, I'll keep looking for a good home for this. Of course, with all the work I've done on it, I'm getting kind of attached to it now. But I mean, it'll still be my cabinet. I want it to be in a place where other people can play it somehow, sometime. So I'll figure that out eventually. Anyway, yeah, come to my streams on Twitch if you want to see me play this. And I hope you enjoyed all the cleanup and preparation of this thing. Once I find a home for this, I'll probably do another video on that. But until then, yeah, I'll just be playing on this thing and enjoying it. See you later.